Do you remember the last time you cried? Not the time you let it out, but the time you held it in, when you had to be the one doing the comforting, when you were too tired to speak, but still kept smiling. Days when even sorrow dried on your lips. Those who lost the ability to cry are still quietly aching somewhere. We were a generation that learned how to endure. Even when our hearts collapsed, we had to look fine on the outside. Even when we were crying inside, our mouths had to keep smiling. We acted strong, but we were the softest of all, and that softness is why we were hurt more often. One day, in a hospital waiting room, someone said to me,
"It's not the pain that's hard, it's not being able to cry."
I nodded without meaning to. I knew that feeling all too well. Tears are like rivers. If they don't flow, they rot. That's why sadness sometimes needs to move, like the scent of soil rises only after rain. We remember the true smell of our heart only after the tears have fallen. Long ago, nestled deep in the mountains, there was a quiet village. Near the entrance of that village, wind often brushed through the riverbank, and where the wind passed, a willow tree bent its head low. It always leaned slightly toward the water, its branches swaying like whispers. Beside that tree stood a small house, and in that house lived a woman of few words. People called her the Willow Lady by the water. No one really knew her name. No one ever asked why she lived alone, but every morning she would sit beneath that willow. At the hour when sunlight stretched over the river, she would sit in silence, watching the water flow. In her hand was a worn cloth. In front of her, an old teacup sat quietly. The cloth was often damp, but no one ever saw her wipe away tears. People in the village whispered,
"She lost a child a long time ago.
Maybe she's still waiting for someone."
But no one truly approached her. No one ever asked. Her quiet presence felt like a silent plea, not to be questioned. That summer, a heavy rain came. The river swelled, while the villagers all fled to the hills for safety. The old woman stayed in her usual spot, beneath the willow tree. A child ran up and shouted,
"Grandma, you can't stay here. The river's going to flood soon."
The woman slowly turned her head and looked at the child. Then she spoke softly,
"I thought maybe today he might come back."
To the child, her words passed like the wind, carrying the weight of years and years of waiting. The rain didn't stop until early the next morning. Days later, the water receded, the villagers returned, and by the riverbank, beneath the willow tree, there she was, sitting quietly, eyes gently closed, as if peacefully asleep. Her breath was no longer with her. In her wrinkled hands, she held the cloth close, and in the cup before her, the sky she last looked upon was still softly reflected. From that day on, even when the sky was clear, drops of water hung from the willow's branches.
"There are tears,"
the children whispered. They would sit quietly beneath the tree, just listening. The grown-ups walked past in silence. No one ever cut the tree down, and the wind always moved gently through that place. The willow remained, its head bowed low, as if still waiting for someone to return. Hearing that story, something came to mind. My mother. Not once did she cry in front of me, but on certain days, she would quietly step out and stand for a long time by the window in the veranda. Back then, I didn't understand, but now I know that was her way of crying. I didn't comfort her. I didn't even know she needed to be comforted, and now I stand by my own window, just like she once did. Ginger warms the body. It doesn't just warm your body, ginger can also warm a heart that's gone cold. Sadness often stays behind as a trembling in the body, especially for those who've lived holding their breath. At times like that, try a strong cup of ginger tea. Some of us can only cry once the warmth returns. All those days you couldn't cry, that quiet shaking was never forgotten. You were living through the sorrow itself, and that quiet endurance was, for someone, a great comfort. I hope you know that now. Your silent cry is still flowing slowly along the river of the heart, and it is so quiet, so deeply strong.